Well, I had been for 8 years thinking about using themes from Smetana's string quartet from my life for a piece. In fact, for my first commission from the Cleveland Orchestra, which was premiered in April of 2007, when I began to sketch, I actually did make some sketches from my life, but I eventually abandoned them and went on my way. And then a year and a half ago, when Bob called me and told me I was going to receive my second commission from the Cleveland Orchestra, after I picked myself up off the floor, and then I thought, well, this is maybe the time to incorporate Smetana's great string quartet. And part of the reason for that is I have a long history, personal history and musical history with Bob Vernon, dating back to the late 60s when we were students of Ivan Galamian at Juilliard and at his Meadowmount School of Music. Joseph Gingold, former concertmaster, most revered concertmaster of the orchestra here in Cleveland, taught chamber music at Meadowmount, and he introduced all of us to the Smetana Quartet, and I heard it first when I was 17 with Pinky Zuckerman playing the solo part, and it was just an amazing concert, and I fell in love with both Pinky's playing on the viola and the string quartet. And so with Bob leaving, this is his final season, 40th season, and with our performance history over many, many years with this piece, I seriously entertained writing this composition for two violas and orchestras based on themes. I advanced it to Bob early on, and he wasn't disliking it, but I sort of caught him off guard. It took him a couple of weeks to process it, and then he said, wow, this is a great idea. And that's how we ended up with two violas based on From My Life. I had actually thought myself why it was a commission for two violas, and it wasn't until about 3 weeks into the composing process, when Bob and I were talking about something, I asked him, and he responded immediately in the fashion that he always does, very honestly, and he said, Lynn Ramsey has been my partner for 28 years. She's a wonderful violist, a super supportive stand partner, rock solid, and she's never played solo on a subscription concert series at Severance Hall, and I wanted her to do that, and so this is my gift to her. And it just shows you the level and depth of thoughtfulness and caring and loyalty that Bob Vernon manifests. Well, it's obviously a thrill. At the same time, this is a very difficult piece. There are moments that are very exhilarating when the ensemble falls into place and everything sounds great, but it's not been fully put together yet. And as a matter of fact, about an hour and a half ago, at the end of the first rehearsal on Wednesday, Maestro Fondagnani spent about 15 minutes on an extremely difficult tutti section that it's very complex and hard to understand, and it eventually ended up sounding really good. But I think the final thrill will be, it won't even be at the dress rehearsal tomorrow morning, because there will still be things that need to be touched up on and gone back. I think the real thrill will be Thursday night at the first performance. But to have an orchestra of this caliber play a piece of mine or anybody else, a living composer, is you can't ask for any more. I had never written a piece based on any other composer's themes before. It's not a novel or new idea. Many composers, even the great ones, have done it. So when I started the process, even though I know the piece intimately, I decided to basically catalog all of the themes and rhythmic thematic material, and I went through it chronologically and numbered them all, and in each movement of each of the four movements. And when I finished that, I knew that I couldn't possibly include everything because I had to develop certain things. There's such a wealth of material there that I came up with two criteria. One, great motifs and melodies and rhythmic phrases that had to be included, and then simply great themes that I loved. And I decided to go chronologically in my piece and use material from movement 1 and 2 in my first movement and from movement 3 and 4 in my second movement, except I liberally sprinkled quotes from the iconic beginning. It has the most virtuosic viola solo part in the entire string quartet repertoire, the way the piece opens. And so I liberally sprinkle that as a musical metaphor throughout the entire piece. And I also decided early on that I was going to withhold the performance of that melody, that raucous, brash, virtuosic opening, until 3/4 through my piece in the middle of the second movement, intentionally denying the soloists their chance to wail. And having heard it now, rehearsed, it's exactly what I wanted to, because when it comes in, it's quoting the melody of the quartet exactly. All the harmonies and the orchestration, of course, are totally different. And the violas are in octaves, but it accomplishes exactly what this impassioned, virtuosic statement, for anybody that knows the quartet, they will immediately recognize it.